Well, we just completed a pretty significant upgrade on our DIY box truck camper van electrical system here. And I thought I'd share some of that with you because I know some of you have been following along, and I've mentioned this several times recently that I was going to be working on this project. And if you haven't been following along, you're new to the channel, my name's Robert. I'm a 10+ year nomad, and before that I just traveled as often as I could my whole life. But I've been doing this stuff for a long time, so on this channel I try to share a mix of the things I've learned over the years traveling, as well as just some of the destinations and the places we go. So before we dive into showing you the system that's right behind me, actually, I want to disclaim that we do not actually use that much power. I know we don't use much power because I can see on the meters how much power we're using, so I know what we use. And I've had occasions over the last few years where I was at an RV park for in Wyoming or Nevada for a month or several months at a time, and the power bill average is about $30 a month in both places. When I've been there for longer than a month to know what a month's usage is. So about $1 a day in electricity if I'm on grid, less if we're using solar. So we don't use that much power. So you'll see some of the systems, and that includes air conditioning, by the way, or heat, depending on the season. So you'll see some of the systems that people build are pretty robust, and they're far beyond what we would need. I'm a full-time digital nomad. I make my living on the road. I know I look old, and sometimes I feel old, but I'm still working age. I still work full-time. So, and I do that on the road. So I do need power for that. But even with that, we just don't use that much power. The biggest thing we use is our air conditioning and heat pump, and then secondarily, to a much lesser extent, there's the occasional kitchen appliance that's kind of high draw. Well, the heart of our system is a Bluetti portable power station. I have the AC240 that, full disclosure, they sent it to me to test, I think 4 or 5 years ago now, at least 4 years ago now. It was brand new at the time and had some cutting edge features. As far as I'm aware, they don't even sell this one anymore. It's the 2400 watt inverter, 1536 watt hour battery. I believe that probably the closest replacement you might look at these days would be the Bluetti Elite 200, which is a really full featured system. And any of the Elite line, if I was buying a new power station these days, the Bluetti Elite line would be the first thing I was looking at. They have 100, 200, 300, and 400. The 200 is like the 2,000 watt hour battery, and the 400 is 4,000 watt hour. So it depends how much battery you need, how much inverter thing. But I think at least for me, it's the battery capacity is the big deal. We also have an OPEZ Exodus 1200. That's a 992 watt hour battery. That one is kind of like the backup one. The AC power quit working on that for me like a while ago. And I've tried everything I can to reset it. And, a lot of times you'll have to do something weird like drain the battery all the way to 0 and recharge it with grid power to 100. And I can't get it to reset. So it may be something broken in there, more than just a logic loop thing. But anyways, we got that. The reason I like having that on board still is it's an extra 12 volt power source that even with a 992 watt hour battery, that'll run my Starlink Mini for a day and a half or 2 days. If I shut it off at night when I'm not working and stuff, we can get 3 days out of it. So it's nice extra backup if it's cloudy or something, and we need to be cautious with our power usage. The battery part of this whole thing, the power stations will be upgraded at some point to have more battery capacity, because that's kind of a weak spot for us if we get cloudy weather or something. That's kind of the big where we kind of run into trouble still. So that will get upgraded eventually. As far as the power coming in, we have a combination of grid power and solar power, 400 watts of Renogy rigid panels on the roof. That's also going to be expanded as soon as I get around to it. It'll be this year. Late summer, early fall, before it starts getting cold. But once it cools down a little, I'll get up on the roof and take care of that, because we want more solar power before we're traveling this winter when the sun is low in the horizon and the days are short, because that's hard enough. And then if you get a couple cloudy days, even down in the desert, you do get clouds, and that can put us in a pinch. So as far as power distribution, this is a lot of what I was working on recently. We have a 12 volt DC power setup through a fuse block, and what that it allows us to have power more places and have more things running off the power station than just what you can plug into like a single, 12-volt power point or a couple of USB ports on a power station. So, and that's coming off the Bluetti. It has a 30 amp DC out port on it, and that's what I use to run the fuse block. We also have USB-A and USB-C through both power stations, and we also have some USB-A and 12-volt power blocks around the truck in convenient places so that we can have, again, more power over there. And those come off the fuse block still. That's right behind me there. And 120 volt AC is distributed around the truck where we need it, and that comes straight off the power stations. We have an air conditioner and heat pump. That's a turbo under cabinet unit. It's actually under my bed, and that this runs straight off shore power only. I can run it off a power station, but it pulls 700 or 800 watts when it's running at full blast. It is an inverter compressor, so it runs fine on a power station, and it will scale back once it gets good and cool or warm, depending on what you're trying to do. But with the size of the truck we have and the size of this system, pretty much it runs at full blast during the days we need it. And if it cools down at night, it would get quite cold in here and we'll be able to scale back. But by that point, we're just opening the windows, letting some fresh air in. So we just run that straight off grid power. We have the 120 volt service panel, which you can see right back here. That's our circuit breaker panel. That is new. That is the big new feature with this system. I had to move some wiring around and stuff, but the 12 volt fuse block we've had for quite a while. Actually, this was in the van before, so this has been around for quite a while. But then the service panel here is new, and we have two breakers in there, one for the power stations and one for the air conditioner and the heat pump. So the way that works is when we have power, grid power or shore power, when we're plugged in like we are right now. If I can get this thing open up here, we have two circuit breakers. One of them, this one here, powers the air conditioner and the heat pump. That's the only thing that does. There is a dedicated receptacle right down by the air conditioner, and that's all that's on that is the air conditioner. So that's on its own circuit. And then we have one circuit for a breaker here for our receptacles, which again, we don't use too much, so that's more than adequate for our needs. What that does, I've had a 30 amp plug-in for this thing for a while, but it wasn't really 30 amp electric in the truck because it was kind of a bottleneck, a weak point where the power came in for the distribution. So I had to keep track of it and make sure we didn't overload our electrical system. Not a big deal, but this is more official. And it does split it. So we have legit 30 amp service now. We have 15 amp for the heat pump and air conditioner, which is overkill. We don't need anywhere near that much. And we have 15 amp service for everything else, which again is overkill. We don't need that much. So it works out nicely. We got a legit 30 amp split system in here. We also have, this box here is the thermostat wall controller for our diesel heater that right now is mounted outside the truck. That's getting moved before winter too. I'm still figuring out exactly what I'm doing with that though. So as far as the 12 volt fuse block though, I don't know if I mentioned, this runs all our 12 volt stuff. So lights, USB, and 12 volt blocks, power blocks, the fantastic fan in the back, our diesel heater and our refrigerator is all running off of this, and it's all fused. And we put these here where we did because we wanted them easy to access for maintainability and future service, as neither one of us wants to have to stand on our head or throw our back out trying to get under a cabinet or under a bed to get to stuff. It's just a pain in the butt. So I like to keep stuff accessible, and I'd rather have it accessible than pretty when I have to balance. I like stuff to look good, but when I have to balance, I want it to be user serviceable. If this truck was a little bigger, we'd have a dedicated utility room and all that stuff would be in it, but it's not, so we don't. If this was a smaller vehicle, we would just have a power station or two. In fact, in the van, that's kind of pretty much what we do, although we do have I do have wiring run for the fridge out there, but basically if it's a smaller vehicle, I just use a power station or two. But the reason I did this system with the different wires run in different places was because it's a larger vehicle, and it's really nowhere we can put a power station where it's going to work for my desk for the stuff I need for work, and for the kitchen over there for the stuff we need for that, and for Melanie to be able to charge her phone when she's over in her little nook over there, and to run the diesel heater, and to run the fridge, and all the things we got to run. So you end up running wire to accomplish that, and so this system works well for that. As far as power station versus DIY systems, I've done both. I used to swear by the DIY systems, but power stations have gotten pretty darn good and pretty price competitive now. So, you know, there's a real convenience factor with that. To me, it comes down to price and performance. How much performance do you need, and how much is it all going to cost? And the big thing with that, you're going to spend at least as much, probably more, getting decent components that are going to play together nicely to do a DIY system. And if you have to pay somebody to do all the wiring and installation for you, you could buy several power stations of equivalent performance. So it comes down to if you can do it yourself and you don't mind doing it yourself and you don't mind hunting around for stuff and all that, there's some advantages to a DIY system like my Opez that the AC Power quit working on. If it was a DIY system, I'd just fix it and replace a defective component, and no big deal. With power stations, you kind of get stuck with that, which brings me to one final point on power stations. If you're going to do power stations, I recommend having at least two, because one will eventually fail, and then you have no power. So if you have a spare, if you have two, at least you can, you know, ship. You have some power still while you're shipping one off to get repaired or replaced. So that's our upgraded electrical system here in our box truck camper. If you got a system, let me know what you're doing. If you're doing kind of I call this a hybrid system. So we're using power stations, but I also have some DIY components to it that I've wired things up where it all just works where we need it to. And, you know, like the way this is set up, if we have solar power, the solar's coming in, charging everything except for the air conditioner. If I plug in the shore power, it comes through this box and it automatically charges the power stations, and it also provides power for the air conditioner. And the way these power stations work, at least, I don't know if they all do, the ones I have work, if we have solar coming in and we're plugged into shore power, it takes the solar power first, and then so that limits how much grid power we're taking in. So, but it does make it really easy. Let's say if we're traveling and we're camping somewhere and we're running short on power because the days are too short or it's too cloudy, we can just plug in and everything recharges instantly. I don't have to mess around with running wires and cables and everything else. So pretty simple system really, but it's all legit. Everything's nice and safe. And I have checked everything with a thermal imaging camera to make sure I had no hot spots or anything. Everything's working perfectly. So that's our system. Let me know what you're doing for a system in your rig, or if you're still thinking about the Nomad thing, what you're thinking about doing, if you're thinking the power station thing or going with a DIY system.